Two United Nations Food Agency has warned that millions more people around the globe could face a famine, with funding shortfalls worsening an already dire condition. The joint report from the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Food Programme said conflict and violence were driving acute food insecurity in a majority of the countries identified at risk. The Rome-based agency listed Haiti, Mali, Palestine, South Sudan, Sudan, and Yemen as the worst, where population face an imminent risk of catastrophic hunger. Also classified as a very high concern were Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Myanmar, Nigeria, Somalia, and Syria, with Burkina Faso, Chad, Kenya, and the situation in the Rohingya refugee in Bangladesh, also making the list. The World Food Programme said that due to funding cuts, it had reduced assistance for refugees and displaced people, while suspending school feeding program in some countries. The Food Agric Organization warned that efforts to protect agricultural livelihoods were threatened, which are essential for stabilizing food production and preventing recurring crises. This sad report, putting Nigeria among other hungry-hit nations, is coming at a time when the World Bank says despite billions of naira spent yearly to cushion hardship, Nigerian social safety net programs are failing to reach those who need them the most. The new report titled The State of Social Safety Net in Nigeria, obtained by Dialogue this very week, the bank revealed that only 44% of the total benefit from the government-funded safety net scheme actually reach poor Nigerians. All of this is coming at a time when the federal government says it is doing more in dealing with the widespread hunger and poverty affecting most Nigerians. But the question is, with many asking, are the indices being reared up by the government actually a reflection of the situation on ground, or is just only on paper? And hence a need for us to talk about it on Dialogue this morning. And that is dealing with the hunger and poverty in the land. That is what we're having as a major discourse today on the show. We're talking about dealing with the hunger and poverty on the land, knowing that the World Food Programme and also the Food Agriculture Organization, both United Nations agencies, are coming out to say Nigeria is put alongside some major countries and is raising a whole lot of concern about our inability to feed our people. And not just only that, do know that the World Bank just within the week also came out to say that only 44% of the social intervention net being procured by this very government is able to reach the most vulnerable Nigerians that is fashioned out to deal with. But anyway, we're dealing with all of those issues right here on the show. And to help us talk about it is no other person but an activist in high repute. And I'm talking of Comrade Emeka Onwukocha, is of the Movement for Good Governance and Democracy. On the show this lovely morning.
Yeah, good morning, my creator. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Well, anyway, I want us to first start with that report coming from the two United Nations food agencies, which, funny enough, put us alongside countries like Myanmar and Afghanistan as major concerns as it concerns hunger. And I'm just really concerned. Is there every reason for us to be worried? I want your reaction as it concerns what these two food agencies are saying, putting us alongside war countries like Myanmar and Afghanistan, that we are having really food crisis on our hands.
Yeah, my crew is quite unfortunate. The data is quite unfortunate, quite touchy, despicable, if I may say. And like I do say that Nigeria does not have any problem, shouldn't have any problem with hunger, because we have arable land, we have the capacity, we have money to actually invest in food production and ensure that our citizenry, have the opportunity to having access to food. But what we have seen in recent times is the government not having the political will. The government, are treating the welfare of the people with kid gloves. And that is the reason this very frightening data keeps churning out from these international organizations. And that is not the first time. This data has been recurring. If you recall, even your own home National Bureau of Statistics, in 2022, I think it came up with a statistics that 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. And what that means is that within the poverty gap, these Nigerians cannot afford food. They cannot afford all the necessities that make life a meaning. So, and now the World Bank has come with another statistic saying that number has increased to 139 million Nigerians who are poor and hungry. So what this means is that our governments over time have not prioritized, increase in funding, public funding in the agricultural sector. Because when you do not invest, when you do not cultivate, you don't expect to harvest. So agriculture is a serious business because our lives are tied to agriculture. Without food, my crew will not be here. So food security, ought not to be a jingle that international organizations should be ringing to the ears of our government. We should have been the ones, right? To be in the forefront of ensuring that our citizenry are well fed. I think there's a lacuna there. The issue of lack of political will. Lack of prioritizing the welfare.
That was where my second question would naturally come from, because I'm also a bit curious. Now, if you take another major report that should be from the World Bank early in April this year. I seem to also have that report. During its African Plus report released at the sideline of the spring meeting in Washington, D.C., themselves and IMF had this meeting. And what they came out to say was really disturbing in every sense. Now, it said that poverty will increase by 3% points in Nigeria up to 2027. That's their report. And now the beauty of that report was that it acknowledged that while economic activity shown positive sign in Nigeria, it also shows an increase in underlying challenges, increasing poverty, which means that it's still going to remain with us for a long time. Undermining economic activities seem to be springing, but yes, we are still being faced with those challenges that breed poverty. Now, the $1 million question is, the government is doing enough, or as they say, to try to bring up the economy. But why are they not dealing with the underlying factor that seems to breed poverty? We're talking about issues like insecurity, securing farmers, and not only that, basic social intervention that will help uplift some of these poor persons to the major line of prosperity, often having enough to feed. So why is government just being faced with economic growth and not dealing with the underlying factor that seems to breed poverty? Let's understand.
Yeah, if we want to go, if I throw it to you, would you say Nigeria is a poor country? Nigeria is not a poor country.
No, we have the biggest economy
as it is today. Nigeria is the largest producer of crude oil in Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, and Nigeria is the largest producer of gas in Africa. Yes. So in other words, our economy is getting boosted, by gas resources in all this time. So we do not have problem, with fund. Right, Nigeria is rich to ensure that the citizens, live life in fulfillment. Section 14, subsection 2 of your constitution, tells you that the primary purpose of government is the security and the welfare. Security and welfare are the two most critical pillars of governance. And if you look at it, it is clear that the government is totally failing in this angle to ensure that security is fixed, that is, the average Nigerian is not under threat in his country, and that the average Nigerians, with the little money you have, the little, minimum wage were paid, you know, you could afford food, not just food, nutritious food, safe food, and sufficient food. Because these are the three factors, you know, that qualify the definition of food security. So now the question is this. Nigerians are hungry, that is true. Statistics stare us in the face. That tells you that those in the government are not prioritizing, yes, the welfare and the needs of the people. So they are not putting the money where the money, you know, should be invested in. Like I have told you.
So it's not a lack of we not having the money.
It is, I have told you that this country is, Nigeria is the largest producer of crude oil in Africa. Nigeria is the largest producer of gas in Africa. I'm not talking about other very buoyant natural resources. Now, this country is rich. Going by this analysis, is rich. So the problem now is this. Why are we hungry?
Yes.
They say disconnect, they say lacuna. That means the people who are supposed to do the needful, those in governance, are what? Are treating the issue with kid glove. So there is no intention, there's no decisive policy as in saying they are not paying, that no Nigerians should go to bed hungry. Because if you do not invest in this critical sector of agriculture and produce enough food, right, automatically the people, the 220 million Nigerians cannot find food, enough food to buy, you know, to meet their dietary needs. And to shock you more, let me tell you, in 2003, CADIP was created, Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program. This is an African, you know, platform. Initiative to do what? To boost agricultural production and increase revenue in these countries. And there was, you know, a commitment by all African heads of state, including our government, that 10% of the country's yearly budget should be allocated to agriculture, to at least to increase, to achieve about 6% GDP growth in that sector. Let us start with that. But I will tell you, from that 2003 in Maputo, then that commitment was reenacted in 2013 in Malabo. I will tell you, budgetary allocation to agriculture by this government and by past governments, you know, has not risen up to 1%, at most 1.5%. Now, from that Malabo, we now have 2005 another commitment at Kampala, which is the recent commitment. And I will tell you today, your government budgeted 54.99 trillion naira. And my grade, how much was allocated to agriculture? 132 billion, which amounts to 0.24%. See, with these statistics, right, I don't want to bother myself so much. You know, you could just put your figures together. Does this tell you that your government, you know, prioritizes agriculture, is deliberate about ensuring that that sector is fixed, and the 220 million Nigerians, you know, could go to bed?
So are you saying they are not of the realization that this is so important? Is that what you're saying? Because while I'm asking you that question, I still could remember in May this year, President Tinubu admitted that hunger and poverty remain the biggest threat to peace in this country.
Okay.
So that's why I'm now forced to ask, if they have that realization, are you saying they are, or would you say it's more of a lack of political will? Because he has that realization. This is the first time he's coming out to admit that when there is hunger and poverty, it is a direct hit and threat to peace. That he said. So let's understand, because you've just said it, we are not putting enough. So the resources is there. So is it all about the commitment?
I think by saying that it's lack of political will, I'm just being very, very sympathetic. I'm just being very, very fair.
Are you economical with the truth of that?
I'm coming somewhere. I'm very, very fair to the government. If I was, you know, set the narrative right, I would tell you, you know, it tells you that our government is not running well. So how do you explain bad governance? Bad governance could be explained, you know, when the needs of the people, you know, is not prioritized. Bad governance could be explained when the country, you know, is rich and the wealth does not translate in the standard of the living of the people. Bad governance could be explained with the statistics World Bank has brought to public space. Bad governance could explain, You know, when UNICEF told us last year that about 2 million Nigerian children are suffering under severe acute malnutrition. And World Bank came up with another startling statistics that about 2 million Nigerian children who are already suffering from severe acute malnutrition are at the risk of death. So bad governance could be explained, you know, when Nigerian children are facing malnutrition. Yes. The question is, where is the money invested in? So bad governance, you know, creates a room, you know, for the people who are leading us, you know, to siphon our public fund. So I'm not putting the money into critical sectors that will uplift the living standard of the people, you know, uplift the people leave them out of poverty, and create an enabling environment for the people to live life in fulfillment. Like I do tell you that section 14, subsection 2 guarantees, right, that the primary purpose of government is what? The security and the welfare of the people. So if the government is abdicating, if the government is refusing to apply itself to implementing the fundamentals of the Constitution, what is said? So that tells you that there's a deliberate attempt, right, not to focus attention on the needs of the people. And many years
Comrade Emeka,
Yes.
would that be fair to say? And the reason I'm saying, is it fair to say, is that you do know that this administration has acquired a whole lot of land, bought tractors, gave free fertilizers to farmers that are indeed changing the narrative. You agree with me also that the price of foodstuff has fallen in recent times, unlike it was in 2 months ago. The basic inflation indices seem to be falling by the day. So will it be fair to say that the government is putting up a blind eye as it concerns the issue of hunger and food crisis in Nigeria?
you see, you could be making a progress. Was it not Erling Glasgow that says that not all movement is progress? Right? McCray, look at this. This is movement, but it's going
In circles.
It's movement, is it not? It's not going forward. This is movement.
But it's going backward.
Yes. So not all movement is progress. What you have seen the government do over time is that the system must keep running.
Most certainly.
Yes, it must be sustained. The system must keep running. So the system must not be allowed to crash. So whatever impact they have made is quite insignificant. And that is not the impact we are clamoring. A people that are in life support, instead of, giving them thorough medical attention, you are administering Panadol.
Oh, come on.
So I am only telling you, if the government is getting it right with their actions and policies, we shouldn't be seeing this data. And I want to tell you, the World Bank is even too sincere. The realistic on ground tells worse than what we are seeing. Because I am the president of the Talakabas in this country, I will tell you. So my constituents, I know what my constituents are going through. Mike, who told you the prices of food stuff has reduced? How much were we buying food, before the present government came on board? So if you want to go by the inflationary trend, nothing has actually happened. It's like when you were not said that Naira is appreciated. Most time, the first time, that I hadn't understood, the semantics or the nuances behind that statement. I thought, Ulrika, but you discover that Naira has gained 1.05. Is that an appreciation? That was a Naira that was at 134 before, jumped over the night to 1,000 something, and it is making 0.5. You say it is appreciation. So this is exactly what we're talking about. So not any pronouncement by the government, could be taken serious, because the facts that tell us that we are not ready yet to fix the problem. Nigerian children are hungry. You don't contest it. This data, like I tell you, they are very, 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 very sincere. You should tell you, if I should roll out my data, I don't think you'll be here talking about this discourse.
Okay, now talking about the data, in case you're watching and listening to us, it is Dialogue, and we're talking about those 2 recent reports coming from the Food Agriculture Organization and also the World Food Program, 2 major United Nations agencies, all cited in Italy as saying that it looks as if Nigerians will go hungry on account of not having enough this year. And they are also indicating that we seem to be on high alert as it concerns other major countries like Haiti, Mali, and Afghanistan, and even Myanmar that are war-driven, that we are also in crisis as it concerns food. But that's not only the report that got our attention this week. Like I said, the World Bank also brought out its own that have many questions than answers, especially as it's stated that about 44% of only the social intervention fund that this government brought out is only 44% that were able to reach the vulnerable Nigerians. And I have a report stated on that. And I'd like to just rather read it out so it doesn't do as if I am indeed adding petrol to fire or actually saying my own. Now, according to the report, it says upon Nigerians spending on social safety nets, assessing the coverage and efficiency has revealed how poor target, weak fund, and fragmented implementation have left millions of vulnerable citizens without meaningful relief, despite government lofty poverty reduction monies being pumped into it. Now, like I stated, only 44% of the benefit was able to reach those vulnerable Nigerians. So my question now is, where did the money go? And why? Why was it not able to deal with the issues it was intended to? Because I do know that in the last 2 years, I'm talking about beginning of 2024 and the first half of 2025, 330 billion naira have been earmarked for this social intervention net. And the government gave us that very statistics only recently. Still in my head. So where did the money go and why? I know they said fragmented implementation, but in your own honest assessment, what happened?
But I think, was it on this platform when I made a statement about the government intended policy as regards to the social
intervention fund
net? I said, first and foremost, they're saying that when you fail to plan, automatically you have planned to fail. This is a government that does not have data, of these Nigerians that actually, far more in their need of this assistance. No data. So anything you are bringing, any policy you are implementing, without a thorough data, with which you could do that, that tells you the result, will be haphazardly implemented. So, and again, how many were being targeted, and how many, like I did tell you, how many were hungry, or that are hungry, and many have been targeted. So if you look at it, the government target then, if I'm not mistaken, about 20 million, right? The hungry Nigerians, is it not more than 20 million?
But we're talking about the vulnerable of the vulnerable.
The vulnerable of the vulnerable. All of us are vulnerable. My friend, if we want to go by global standard, I will tell you that 80% of Nigerians are vulnerable. I am vulnerable. Because I know what I'm talking about. I am vulnerable. See, because when food has become a luxury in this country, food is luxury. People who could go to eateries, are people who work in oil companies. The average Nigerian man, you pay 70,000 naira, will he go to eatery? Where a plate of food is sold at 7,000 naira. So that means that 70,000 naira will get him 7 plates of food. For just 2-3 days, the money is expended. So all of us are vulnerable. The fact is that for the fact that, we are not shouting blue mother does not mean we are not feeling the pangs or the forefront. So the implementation will always be wrought with a lot of inadequacies, because even the system itself, how clean is it? This is a country, that has become notorious, I'll use the word, with poor implementation of policies. where people who are found or who have been found diverting the system cannot be brought to book. So if there are no consequent management, to checkmate, overzealous actions or attitudes of people who are implementing policies, how far would you want the policies to go? So the issue is this. There's no transparency in policy implementation, right? So that I know from start that it will not result in anything good. It will still find bulk of that money will still find its way into the pockets of those who are implementing it, just as the Nigerian revenue is finding its way into pockets of people that you and I, have been asked to manage our resources. And that is the reason today Nigeria is so rich, but yet the people are very poor. Why? Is the money there? Why has our economy been nosediving? It's because we don't even have money, to invest. We don't even have money to run our economy because all the money that have been made over time. So here is the money. So we have strong individuals who are even richer than the government. And it will shock you to know that among the richest people in this country are found among the politicians. Politician has become a business to Nigerians where if you have opportunity, to contest it and you find yourself there either by hook or crook, automatically you're a money bag. And the public, the government knows about that and nobody says anything.
Well, no, talking about knowing about that, we do know just last month, October to be precise, the EFCC came out to say they've had about 700 convictions and recovered about almost 500 billion naira proceed in the last 2 years as it concerns corruption. So won't you say more is also being done in that avenue?
If they are sincere, that 500 billion could be retrieved from just one corrupt politician. 500 billion. What is 500 billion? Take it from 1999 till now. Do you know, let me tell you, let me shock you. One very, exciting concept in governance to our politicians is how far, they can advance their ill-gotten wealth. Because if our leaders, our political leaders are concerned about the welfare of the people, check how many of them in the House of Assembly? Senate, how many? 109 or 103? House of Representatives, how many? 350 something or thereabout, 360 thereabout. Okay, if they have been deliberate, talk about the governors, talk about the commissioners, talk about the ministers, about the welfare of the people. Each of them deliberate, consigned. Do you think it will be where we are? But the welfare of the people, does not cross their mind. So the average politician sees politics as business. If he gets there, it is how in the next 4 years they should be talking about who is the richest. If you're even the richest, you are getting rich, from politics. That means that every money that belongs to you and I, has found its way into their pockets. And today, Nigerian politicians, move about, like wealthy kings.
Demigods.
Yeah, demigods. And you can even see it in the manner they carry themselves. So that has become a system in this country because the government, the system itself condones it. So it's a systemic thing. So and in a society where such has been elevated, into the apogee of governance, the citizens are meant to suffer. Because that office is for those who are manning it to serve the people. It is more of a sacrificial calling. So it is not a place, where you get rich. It's not a place where at the end of the day, you went there as an ordinary person. You are coming there as a bourgeois, as a money bag. And the system does not even query. And many of them, exhibit this wealth in the open and nothing happens. So what do you expect? The citizens are meant to suffer because the money that is meant to uplift their well-being, is being channeled into personal aggrandizement. So that's exactly what we are saying. So, my friend, you can't expect anything good, not until there's a change of attitude and the government is deliberate. People within governments are deliberate, to deliver good governance and dividends for democracy. That is when you will see this narrative changing.
Okay, now, if you feel that is more of a problem and having the social intervention fund will not trickle down to the least of or the vulnerable of the vulnerable, Let's look at another major. So what now should be the way out? Like I stated, for 2 years now, the federal government said they've spent about 330 billion for 8 million vulnerable Nigerians, which you have said that they don't have clear data of even these vulnerable having to collect their money. Most of them don't even have bank accounts. Most of them are in the rural areas, as they claim. But my question, if the social intervention fund is doing little or nothing in helping to uplift the life of these persons, what approach should the government now take to balance the sheet and ensure Nigerians that are poor are also having their voice?
Michael, let me say here with all sincerity, these guys, they are more intelligent than me. They are more exposed than me. They are more traveled than me. They attended the best schools, Harvard, Oxford, just mention it, that I didn't even attend. And I'm not even, aspiring to attend. Okay. So these guys are not dummies. These guys are not people, who do not understand the mechanisms of governance. But it is a deliberate attempt because Nigeria is seen as a place where you just come and make money from politics. Are you not surprised that every now and then they are globetrotting? If they want to spend the holidays, are you not? Just monitor the trend. They are always going abroad. What are they going to do in abroad? On holidays. Do you know how much on each trip a civil servant is? A civil servant, a public servant. How do you make the money? So the question, sir, is this. The Nigerian leaders are not conscious of governance. Their understanding of governance is toxic. So if governance could be defined in a Nigerian context, it is all about those within the governance taking all. The people's need, is relegated to the background. Because if the people's need is given the due attention, we shouldn't be saying this. Nigeria is a very rich country, but the citizens are endemically poor, surprisingly poor, annoyingly poor. So what was the problem? Or what is the problem? Tells you that the money that is meant for the people, for good administration, find its way into the pockets of those you and I, in quotes, elected to drive governance. So there is nothing you will get out of a system like that. I have said it time without number. Not until these guys, have changed their mindset and said, I am serious about governance. And that is where you begin to see this is falling in line. You don't need rocket science. Nigeria is blessed. Like I do tell people, I said this country doesn't have a problem. For instance, in agriculture, what is food crisis that we are facing? Nigeria has arable land. Nigeria has energetic youths. About 70% of Nigerian population is made up of youths. That alone, it is a resource that you could tap to better the welfare of the people and advance the growth of this country. But why are they not key into these opportunities? You are saying the president will come and tell you that he is investing into social, intervention net or whatever. Is he deliberate about that? Is the president concerned? Is he pained that 2 million Nigerians are suffering from severe acute malnutrition? I wonder if Donald Trump, such statistics, could be said about America. They will close White House. Americans will close White House. Donald Trump will say, America, here we come. We are going to feed this problem. And in the next 2 years, we are going to erase this data. Do you see the National Assembly discussing it? Does it come in front burner? Do they prioritize the issue? Or rather, they treat it with levity. So, when the governance...
But they said Nigeria should breathe.
They said Nigeria.
Yeah.
The breathing thing, we are so lucky that they don't have, right over, that natural privilege God has given us. If the breathing should be given by them, life would have been snuffed out of all Nigerians.
Of course.
Because these guys do not have empathy. They do not have sympathy. If I realize data, how this country has been variously, looted, you will sit here. That oil was struck in 1956 in Lobiri. Till today, do you know how many millions or billions of barrels that this country has sold? That has trickled into trillions of dollars. And today, look at our condition. There's no infrastructure. There's no education. There's no health facility. There's no school. There's no food. There's nothing. The only life you could see is the life that God has given the people. Ordinarily, the government is deliberate and desirous to sniff life out of the citizens. That is not governance. So what you are seeing here, is another phase of governance that suits the Nigerian context, which cannot be brought or cannot be compared with what happened in civilized climate. So our Nigerian leaders, are waging what is called an economic war against the citizens. And that's exactly what it is.
Well, Comrade Emeka Nwokocha, if you feel that's your ground,
yes.
We on Atlantic TV will definitely.
Yeah,
we are more like the devil's
advocate. It's my passionate opinion.
Yeah, we ask questions. And we do know.
And the data speaks to that.
We do know.
It does. Where will they get that? Even in Afghanistan, it's not as worse as this. Even in Afghanistan, even in Croatia, in war-torn Croatia, the citizens are not being peppered, are not being subjected to severe poverty and hunger as it is in this country, where we are not fighting war, but we are fighting spiritual war.
Okay, well, anyway, before we bring down the Holy Ghost and also put pepper to where it pains us the most, I want you to quickly look at this. And what I want us to look at is now, what should be a quick intervention to deal with this? Because the World Bank has come out to say, well, they are also, rather, the World Food Program has come out to say they are also being hit with a whole lot of lack of funding. Monies that they would have needed to deal with this very present crisis in Nigeria and other high concerned countries would amount to almost $27.7 million. But they have little of that to go about dealing with the problem. So for you, what would be the quick way to fix this, to save the lives of these vulnerable Nigerians that the World Food Program are saying they are in high risk of going hungry and eventually malnutrition that might lead to death in itself? So for you, what should just be the quick fix on this?
If they would agree, just like India did,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
If they would agree, won't the government now come and, organize a food summit?
Okay.
The 36 state governors of this country, must be given a mandate to prioritize production of food.
Okay.
It is not treating this issue with levity. That is, let it be a critical sector that you must, galvanize every strength you have to ensure that food is produced within your locality and you should be able to feed your citizens.
So it's more like a directive coming from the federal.
Directive coming from federal and domesticated
by the state government.
Stamped as a law. And it's going to be the template, the yardstick upon which you will be evaluated in terms of how performance. So if the government could do this, and it takes a man that is concerned, that is, serious, about addressing the problem, to bring this suggestion or initiative on the board. But if the man is not convinced, he might just come out in the public and say something. But aside, behind there, he does what he likes. So the problem with our leader is not that they do not have the mental faculty or ability to drive policies, but they are not interested.
But what of if they do have the mental ability to do all that, and the civil service, which is more like the backbone in making all of these work, seem to also sit behind and not live up to the pace of the executive.
Yes.
Naturally, it will not work.
What? The civil service? See, Mike, Ray.
We've seen policies that have been given, countless directives that have been given, that the civil servants seem not to want to even do anything about.
Yes. Mike Ray, I am so happy that Nigeria is not the only country existing in this world. And I'm sure that as Nigeria is not making progress, we can see countries making progress, vacating the third world club and progressing. We are seeing them. So if Nigeria refuses and believes they cannot make progress, let Nigeria be there. What is a civil servant? Policies And do you know within the civil service, if you see policies that drive it, you wonder. But when people do not have the will, the zeal to implement policies,
that's what the problem is.
That's what the problem is. And the government is condoning, the structure is condoning it. It's a systemic failure.
So if there are punitive measures being meted down to those that are expected to drive these policies, a new narrative will be set.
Starting from the president.
Okay.
Trickle down to National Assembly.
Okay.
Trickle down to the governors. Okay. See, if we have men that actually want to drive this country, that want to take the country to the promised land, within 10 years, this country, what we see, it is a revolutionary change. So, but the president, on his lies the head that wears the crown. That is understood. Yeah. But the clarion call or the clarion cry is for the president, to navigate this country to the promised land. So the president should be that man, who would wear the big stick when it is necessary. Yeah. Not this kind of party government. This is a country where laws don't work. It's a country where laws don't work. It's a country where we have strong individuals, who can
feel they are bigger than the
What
system.
are you talking about? They will just sit at one place and make a call. And that so people don't,
Okay, so like the call we saw between the FCT minister.
I was about to make a reference on that. Do you know what played out there?
Okay,
we
will not be calling anyone.
It's another showcase. It's another showcase, of the decay or the political and administrative system and the governance system of this country. So
okay, I will not want to push you there, because if I push you there, we might not leave the show today. So, and time is not a friend, Comrade Emeka Nwukocha. My PD is already telling us we're really out of time. We've been talking for close to an hour now, but I'm only happy that you've given us an insight of why we feel things are not working and what we need to do as a people to change the narrative that the World Food Program is not narrating well. Rather, it's the World Bank telling us all is El Dorado yet. But I'll need to tell you now that we are truly appreciative of your time with us. And just like Oliver Twist, we'll be more than happy to bring you down here to talk passionately about the country you claim to be the target.
The presence of Alakawas. They have not.
Okay, they have not. Well, if you feel you are part of the vulnerable, but I doubt that I can see your hand and shoes. But let's leave with what I see. But thank you so much for being a part of the program, and we really appreciate your time with us.
Thank you. May God bless you guys for the wonderful intervention you guys are doing.
Thank you so much. Well, it's more like a wrap for us today on the show. You always know I will tell you to remember to go drop your comments, share, and like. And also, like I will always insist, let's hear from you. It's important we do so. We talked about what would have to do to change the narrative in the land, knowing that millions of Nigeria, on account of that very report from the World Food Program and the Food and Agriculture Organization, two United Nations food agencies, are saying that many Nigerians will definitely go hungry at the end of the year. And not only that, but also seeking or looking at what the World Bank said, that only 44% of the social intervention fund being pushed by this administration has been able to reach the vulnerable of the vulnerable. Well, anyway, let's get your reactions, comments, and all that you need to say about this on our different social media platforms, and be rest assured we'll definitely be taking them when it comes. But for me, I'll just say a quick bye-bye, but do not go anywhere, because you do know definitely will trend later. Messi is already cooking up a very delicious deal as it concerns trending, and be rest assured the news will come around the hour. It's still Viewpoint on Atlantic TV.